Welcome to Flow Edge, where knowledge flows and you gain the edge. Hello everyone, welcome back to another lecture, which is about the stakeholders in the supply chain. Behind every product is a cast of characters, each playing a vital role in its journey. Today, we'll explore the people and organizations that influence a supply chain, the stakeholders. A stakeholder is anyone who impacts or is impacted by the supply chain. They might be directly involved in making, moving, or selling products, or indirectly shaping how the system works. In simple terms, a stakeholder is anyone who plays a role in the success or failure of a supply chain. Moving forward to the types of stakeholders, we divide stakeholders into two main categories: primary stakeholders and secondary stakeholders. Firstly, talking about primary stakeholders. These stakeholders are directly involved in the flow of goods from origin to the customer. These are core participants in the supply chain. They handle the product itself as it moves from the raw material stage to the finished item in the hands of the customer. Now let's see who are the primary stakeholders in a supply chain, starting with suppliers. Suppliers are the starting point of any supply chain. They provide the raw materials, components, or inputs needed for production. Well, without suppliers, production cannot begin. They influence the cost, quality, and availability of materials. Their reliability affects the entire chain's performance. For example, a farmer supplying wheat to a biscuit factory and a mining company providing lithium for smartphone batteries. The next primary stakeholders are the manufacturers or producers. The manufacturers take the raw materials from the suppliers and convert them into finished goods through processes like assembly, fabrication, or packaging. They add value by transforming inputs into usable products. Their efficiency, technology, and quality control directly affects the product performance and the customer satisfaction. For example, a factory assembling smartphones or a bakery producing packaged biscuits. The next primary stakeholders are the distributors or the wholesalers. The distributors or the wholesalers purchase products in large quantities from the manufacturers and supply them to retailers. They own the goods, manage inventory, and often handle regional distribution. Well, they bridge the gap between the production and retail. They also ensure that the products are available in the right place at the right time and in the right quantity. Unlike logistics providers, they take the ownership of the goods. For example, a regional food distributor supplying biscuits to supermarkets, or a mobile phone distributor supplying retail chains across cities. The fourth primary stakeholders are the retailers. The retailers are the final commercial link in the supply chain. They sell products directly to the end customers either through physical stores or online platforms. They make products accessible to customers. Their pricing, presentation, and customer service influence purchasing decisions. They gather feedback that can shape future supply chain strategies. For example, a supermarket selling packaged food or an electronic store selling smartphones. The final primary stakeholders are the customers. The customers are the end users of a product. They complete the supply chain by purchasing and using the goods. Their preferences and behavior drives the demand. They also influence the product design, marketing, and inventory decisions. Their satisfaction determines the success of the entire supply chain. Thus, each primary stakeholder plays a direct role in moving the product forward. From sourcing materials to selling the final item, they form the backbone of the supply chain. Understanding their roles helps us design better systems, improve coordination, and respond to market needs more efficiently and effectively. Now, coming to secondary stakeholders, these secondary stakeholders are the supporting players in the supply chain. They don't handle the product itself, but they provide the system, services, and oversight that makes the entire process possible. The first secondary stakeholders are the logistics providers. These are the companies that handle the transportation and storage of goods. This includes trucks, ships, airplanes, and courier services. Well, they ensure that the products move from one stage to the next, from the supplier to the manufacturer, and then the manufacturer to the distributor, and so on. Without them, goods would never reach the right place at the right time. They also manage warehousing, tracking, and delivery schedules. The next secondary stakeholders are the packaging companies. These companies design and produce boxes, bottles, wrappers, and containers for products. Well, they matter because packaging protects products during the transport and storage. It also makes products look appealing and provide important information like expiry dates or instructions. A good packaging can thus reduce damage, improve shelf life, and influence customer buying decisions. For example, companies making biscuit wrappers or smartphone boxes. The third secondary stakeholders are the government and regulators. They are the public authorities that create and enforce laws, standards, and policies related to trade, safety, labor, and environment. They ensure that the products are safe, workers are treated fairly, and businesses follow ethical practices. They also regulate imports, exports, taxes, labeling, and working conditions. Their decisions affect the supply chain speed, cost, and compliance. For example, FSSAI, Food Safety, BIS, Bureau of Indian Standards, and the Custom Department. Next secondary stakeholders are the banks and lenders. These financial institutions provide loans, credit, and investment to businesses involved in the supply chain. Well, they matter because companies need money to buy raw materials, pay workers, build factories, and ship products. Banks help manage cash flow, fund expansion, and reduce financial risk. Without financing, many supply chains would stall. After bank and lenders comes the tech companies. These companies offer software, apps, and digital tools to manage the supply chain operations. Well, they help to track the shipments, monitor inventory, forecast demand, and automate processes. Technology improves speed, accuracy, and decision making. It also enables real time communication between the stakeholders. Lastly, one of the most important secondary stakeholders are the recycling and waste firms. These organizations handle the disposal and recycling of products and packaging. They support sustainability by reducing waste and recovering valuable materials. They manage the flow of goods back from the customer to the recyclers. This is especially important for electronics, packaging, and expired goods. Thus, secondary stakeholders may not touch the product directly, but they are critical to the system's success. They provide the infrastructure, oversight, and support that allow primary stakeholders to do their jobs effectively. Without them, the supply chain would be slow, unsafe, inefficient, or even impossible. Now, let's have a look at an example of a smartphone supply chain wherein we'll be considering both the primary stakeholders and the secondary stakeholders. To start with the primary stakeholders, first the supplier mines the lithium and rare metals, then the manufacturer assembles the phone in a factory. Further, the distributor ships those phones to global markets, and then the retailer sells it through stores or online platforms. Finally, the customer buys and uses the phone. Now, let's have a look at the secondary stakeholders in our smartphone supply chain, wherein we have logistic providers who move and store phones across the countries, and packaging companies who make the phone boxes and protective wrappings, whereas the government enforces work safety, quality, and trade rules. We have banks who finance global shipments and business expansions, and tech companies who provide updates, apps, and cloud services, whereas recycling companies collect and recycle old phones and parts. This example shows how different players are involved and how each one contributes to the product's journey. Before we move forward, there's an activity for you all. Let's make this real. Think of a product you use today, maybe your phone, your shoes, or your breakfast. Now identify the stakeholders involved in its journey, both primary and the secondary ones, like who made it, who moved it, who sold it, and who supported it. Now, to give it a fun twist and to understand that why every stakeholder matters, imagine that one stakeholder disappears. Let's say the distributor. The manufacturer has finished making the product, but there is no one to buy it in bulk and supply it to the stores. So the product just sits in the warehouse. No trucks move it, no shelves stock it, and no customer ever sees it. The supply chain breaks, and the product never reaches the market. This shows how interconnected the supply chain is. Even one missing link, whether it's a distributor, a packaging firm, or a logistics provider, or any other stakeholder, can stop the entire flow. Now, let's see the importance of the stakeholders in a supply chain in four simple points. First, smooth flow of goods and services. The stakeholders like suppliers, manufacturers, distributors, and retailers ensure that the products move efficiently from the creation to the customer. Without them, delays or disruptions can occur. Second, risk management. Each stakeholder helps identify and manage risk in the supply chain, such as shortages, quality issues, or transportation problems, reducing the chance of failures. Third, innovation and improvement. Stakeholders contribute ideas, technology, expertise that improve processes, reduce cost, and enhance product quality. Fourth, customer satisfaction. Effective coordination among stakeholders ensures that the products are delivered on time, in good condition, and at the right cost, keeping customers happy and loyal. Thus, as we say, the supply chain is the invisible backbone of our economy. In this similar manner, we can say that the stakeholders are the backbone of every supply chain. They don't just move products, they shape decisions, solve problems, and drive innovations. When each stakeholder plays their part, the supply chain becomes more efficient, resilient, and ethically sound. Ignoring even one link, whether it's a supplier, distributor, or regulator, can disrupt the entire flow. That's why understanding stakeholders isn't optional, it's essential for building supply chains that work and last. Thus, to give it a closing thought, we can say that the stakeholders don't just exist in the supply chain, they shape its success, its efficiency, and even its reputation. Thank you for watching this lecture about the stakeholders in the supply chain. Do like the video, subscribe to my channel, and share the video because knowledge is meant to be shared. Thank you and keep watching Flow Edge.